That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Yeah. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the OneCast. If you're watching this, Pete is he's bug-eyed right now. He's dialing in. He had some issues at work earlier this evening. We've had all sorts of storms and weather and power going out and a lot of stuff going on. But we're here today. We're cranking out an episode. We got a special guest we're going to bring on here in a few minutes. Andrew Loberg from the Bassmaster Elite Series is going to come on, talk about his story, talk about maybe some of the heartbreak about being an ounce away from winning a Lake 10 killer a couple weeks ago. But we'll bring him on shortly. But before we do, we got to give a shout out to all the people who support us. So make sure you go over to OneCastFishing.com, use the code TheOneCast, stock up on the snagless jigs, join the snagless revolutions, catch more fish, lose less tackle, check out the long neck hooks, all the soft plastics, including the Nighthawk. And apparently, as Trey said, if you put the green pumpkin and the hematoma together, the colors will mix in a bag. Yeah. And somehow it's a special color. But you can get all that at OneCastFishing.com.
Like green matoma or something.
Yeah,
dude, it's like green matoma. Like it was solid, dude. I whacked a bunch of them today on it. But yeah, head on over, like Ben said, use the code TheOneCast, all one word, at checkout. Get yourself those Nighthawks. Get yourself that new Pearl one. It was great for bed fishing this year. Great for the back of a buzzbait, swim jig, and all this stuff. And while you're online, stay protected during these dog days of summer with Carolina Waters UPF gear. They got all the shirts, the neck buffs, the gloves, everything that you need, the hats to stay protected from the UV rays. So head on over to CarolinaWatersNC.com. Use the code TheOneCast, all one word, at checkout. Say some change and then do yourself a favor. Keep your eyes protected using that link that Pete always drops in the description, which is going to take you directly to the Hobie Eyewear site. And that's going to save you like 15% on an already great priced pair of sunglasses. And you can check out their entire lineup. And we recommend the floating frames, right? And they got a bunch of different lenses and stuff like that. But you're never going to lose another pair of glasses in the bottom of the lake again if you get your hands on those Hobies in the floating frame series. I like the Hank Cherries, the Mojo floats. Those are pretty awesome. But they got the new upcycled kayak plastic whole float frames, super environmentally friendly, and we couldn't be more proud to be partnered with Hobie Eyewear. So use that link, Pete. Oh, let me go back here, Ben. Where do they need to go on their app store?
Oh, yes. So we got one more to mention here. So before your next fishing trip, folks, go on your phone. Doesn't matter if you have a Droid or Google, Samsung, an iPhone, whatever store you use to download apps. Go download the Deep Dive app. Take advantage of the free trial, and I'm sure, as we all found out when we began using this app several years ago, that you're going to want to pay for the subscription because there's a lot of great features on there. This time of year, it's summertime. Most of your fish are going to be offshore, right? They're going to be moving around. It's all about hitting a bunch of locations that are going to hold fish. The Deep Dive app is going to help you identify a lot of those locations, whether there's channel breaks, whether there's humps, whether there's current inflow. And, of course, there's additional features on there that lets you, look at the weather from the past and into the future, wave action. So a lot of great features on there that'd be able to help put more fish in the boat when you're out there on the water.
That's right. Pete, they need to move to North Carolina, don't they?
I mean, we would love for y'all to move to North Carolina. Just don't fish our lakes. No, I'm just kidding. Make sure, you get down here so we can see you on the water. We can hang out. We could drink some cold milks. Yeah. And if you're looking to move to Central North Carolina, there's only one real estate agent that you should reach out to, and that's Terry Carpenter, licensed NC Realtor with Howard, Perry, and Walston, Coldwell banker. Terry is going to find your home. He's a bass angler, friend of the show. He showed up a couple weeks ago for our Hobie Eyewear cleanup on Jordan Lake, the cleanup on Jordan Lake we did with Hobie Eyewear, Fear My Heart, and he actually won the grand prize. So I'm looking forward to seeing some pictures of him out there on that inflatable,
he did,
standing paddleboard. If he has time, but he's too busy slinging houses. So make sure you hit up Terry if you're looking to move, buy property or home in Central North Carolina. You can get with him at carpentert@hpw.com, or you can go to our link tree and click on his link tree and get all of his other contacts there. So, yeah. What's happening?
Yeah, man.
Since our last episode.
Well,
Defo pulled out the win on the BPT.
Yep.
where were they? James River or
Oh, yeah.
Potomac? One of them rivers. Potomac. Yeah, that was a fun event to watch. Some shallow water fishing up there, grinding in the tidal river. A place I want to go. I've wanted to go for a long time. I just haven't made that trip. I also know it's a snakehead fishery.
I know. I was just about to say, like, I don't care. I mean, obviously, you want to go catch greenheads when you're on the Potomac, but Fat Cat Newton and the rest of the people that I follow that live around that area, they absolutely love catching those snakeheads, man. And I think even Mark Daniels Jr. threw one in the box during practice. I heard those things are really good eating. In fact, so I'm going to make my way up there. And in fact, our good buddy Chad Erickson, who owns Goatwood Farms, he's going to be up there. He should be up there right now as we're doing the show, fishing the Elite 70s out of Virginia. So really cool fishery. Congratulations to Ott Defoe. That was a shallow water grind fest at its best. The only other thing, Pete, that I can think of that happened about a week and a half ago or so was, the Fear My Heart campaign, the 100 lakes across the globe cleanup, man. It was a really great time. Appreciate all the volunteers that came out to show their support. Congratulations, like you said, to Uncle Terry for getting that stand-up paddleboard. It was really awesome that Hank Cherry, Christine Fisher, Carl Jochimson, those guys, provided autographed jerseys for some of these people to enter into a raffle. Hobie obviously gave some things away. We donated some really cool Yeti water bottles and stuff. And, Clean Jordan Lake, I'm sorry, 501c3, great people, man. And I think what Carl is doing, I know what Carl is doing is a fantastic initiative, something that we all can stand behind. Because we love our lakes so much, our lakes, rivers, and everything else in this country. So that was a great turnout. And I paid more attention to that than I did tournament bass fishing over the last week and a half. So as we're doing this show right now, I think the NPFL they should be on their first day or going into the first day of the tournament.
I don't remember if they have a day off this tournament.
Yeah, I don't know. They're up on the St. Lawrence River.
It starts the 9th.
Yeah, so all of our boys up there, they're gonna crush the smallmouth, and we're gonna talk to Andrew about that here too, because he just came back, had a great tournament up there. But yeah, St. Lawrence River kicks off for the NPFL here in a day or two, and looking forward to seeing how that one plays out, man. There's a lot of shaking and moving that needs to be done. A lot of our buddies fell down in the point standings, and is the top 40 or top 42 qualify for their championship. And some of our buddies are well out of it, but they have a lot of ground to make up, but they can do it. And if you're going to do it, a northern swing is a great place to do it. If you can find dumb 4-pound smallmouth, man, then you're doing something up there. So,
and no
forward facing sonar technology in that. Yeah.
So some of those guys that have been catching the smallmouth up there and have done it, like we used to do when I grew, growing up north, pinging them on 2D are going to be a little bit of an advantage there. So looking forward to that one. And yeah, I think we have ran our traps enough, and we should probably bring Andrew on so the people actually want to hear talk.
Yeah. Well, let's do that, Ben. Let's bring Andrew on here and welcome him to the OneCast. Andrew Loberg, man, appreciate you joining us all the way from Lake Gunnersville, Alabama.
Heck yeah. Thanks for having me on, fellas. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, awesome. So it was actually kind of cool how this worked out. So, after the Elite Series finished up at 10 killer, and, full disclosure, I would have loved to seen Carl Jochimson win his second Elite Series. That was his first one there. But watching that go down was a very heated competition, right?
Heck yeah.
And it really came down to ounces. And so after that, I was like, you know what? Let me shoot this guy a message real quick on the old grams of the Insta and see if he wants to jump on the show. And we're going to get to that, so let's not jump into that just yet. But he responded, and I was like, cool, man, let's get him on the show. So appreciate you, man. And what we got a lot of listeners, all ages, all over the world, man. We got them in Spain, we got them in Italy, we got them, all over. And I don't know, do they use is there a translator on this thing? I don't know. Anyways, so but what we wanted to do was we wanted to get your story out there. And so you got a really good resume on the Major League Fishing side. and you got a heck of a resume so far on the BASS side. But dude, where do you come from, and when did this itch begin for you?
Yeah, so I'm from Northern California, just north of Sacramento. Grew up fishing my entire life. My dad, uncles, grandfather. I was kind of just born into it, man. I mean, even at the youngest memories I have is, my dad taking me out on that water. And for some reason, I just got that itch bad, and it hasn't stopped since then. But yeah, originally from California, moved to Guntersville about a year and a half ago. Obviously, for fishing nationally, it's just a lot easier. But yeah, California, man, just born and raised, fishing all over. Northern California's got some of the best fisheries in the entire world. I grew up basically on Clear Lake, and it's the bass factory. It's arguably the best fishing in the world. You can catch them however you want, deep, shallow, grass, and it truly has shaped who I am and how I like to fish. So I give a lot of props to, being from out west. I take pride in that. Guys like Aaron Martins, Mark Daniels, Brent Ehlers, Skeet, we're all very, very similar in how we fish and kind of grew up in the same area. Cody Meyer. So, I grew up out there, cut my teeth out there, and like you were saying with the Major League Fishing FLW side of things, growing up as tournaments, post high school, going into college, we didn't have Bassmaster out there at all. It was when I was a lot younger. My dad used to fish a couple here and there, some of the opens and whatnot, but we didn't have Bassmaster. We had Major League Fishing, and after I graduated high school, going into college and even post-college, that's all I fished. So it was kind of a dream of mine at a younger age to, fish professionally, but also being from California, it's such a far reach. Everything, growing up as a kid, watching on TV, seeing all these lakes like Guntersville, where I live right now, it just seems so mythical, like to be there, whereas if you grew up here and have been there, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. But seeing Guntersville from, as a kid in California, you're like, that must be insane just to go even be there, let alone fish it at a high level. So, fishing tournaments out west and being out there, it seemed like a really, really far reach. And, I just, kept grinding away and fishing tournaments and worked as much as I could and saved money and, eventually kind of floated out here.
Well, I mean, I can say the same thing for probably a lot of the people that live on the East Coast or central part of the country. Like, I look at Clear Lake in the California Delta, and I'm like, oh, it's a mythical place, man. Like, yeah. I want to go out there and fish that too. But we definitely understand what you're saying. Like, the hub of the industry is right here, and in fact, the hub of the industry is where you're at. Yep. Just like Charlotte, North Carolina, is the hub for NASCAR. Guntersville is like the hub for bass fishing and stuff. So I when you got done with high school though, and you moved on to college, were you dead set on fishing professionally, or did you like major in something that was going to give you like a jump start in the event, like maybe that didn't work out so much?
Yeah. So like, from high school into college, I still had that, dream and that fire to try to pursue it. And I was going to try to do it somehow, but, my dad, and he kind of taught me at a young age, like to kind of be a realist in what's going on in the world. And, in college, I went there, I was on the bass fishing team at Chico State. And, I studied, I got a Bachelor of Science in crop science, agriculture. Absolutely love it. I actually still work to this day, remotely. Yeah. So I love that avenue and that as kind of a backup plan per se. So I definitely wanted to have something like that because, as you guys all know, bass fishing's very volatile with, having an income. So, I went into college, and, the college fishing scene out west isn't anything crazy. We had a lot of tight-knit, group of buddies that did it, and we traveled across the country and fished all the national championships and met, a lot of great people. But even, fishing the college tournaments, we won a ton, we placed good at the national championships and, had a lot of good success, but, once you get done with college and then you step up, to the professional side on like the Toyota series and those types of pro-ams, it's a whole different ball game. You're going against some of the best guys on the West, the whole Western region, and then also, competing against guides and things like that are on the water. So it was definitely a big learning curve, getting into the front of the boat. But, even though I had a job and was working, full time, there was still that, like with the major league fishing stuff out West, there was still that one avenue to get you out East, fish the Toyotas. When I was a little younger, fish the Toyotas, and then you make the tour, the FLW tour, and then it turned into the pro circuit. So there was one avenue to get you out East, and that was kind of my path.
Yeah, when you were growing up out there, I mean, I was really sad when like FLW itself like went away. When they talk about that split happening or whatever. Did that have any effect on you guys out West whatsoever with the amount of exposure Major League Fishing had out in the West?
It did. But to be honest with you, like when Major League Fishing was out West, it was like its own hub, like its own circuit in a way. Like we would all fish, competitively at that level. But it's kind of funny because most of the guys that are probably 35 or older, they don't really want to do it professionally, that are fishing those tournaments at all. They just want to fish those tournaments, fish pro-ams out West. They don't even want to go to the national championship. They don't really care for it. They just want to fish at a high level out there and be done. So it's kind of one of those things where it was their own type of circuit in a way where a lot of guys just weren't really that fired up for all the exposure and media. But guys like me, younger generation, we needed it. We wanted it to be on a national level because as much of a bummer as it is, you win a major tournament in California, Arizona, Oregon, Washington. Guys out here have no clue who you are, and they don't really care what lake it's on. It's not really a blink in anybody's eye. It just doesn't really matter. So
I mean,
but to be able to be on, yeah.
Unless it's the U.S. Open that they have out there, right? Where is that usually at? Mead? Is that
yeah, they've had it at Lake Mojave the last couple of years, but it's normally at Mead. Yeah. But it's one of those deals, if for me, it was so crucial where, if you top 10 or won a tournament, I needed to be on that front cover of Major League Fishing or FLW. I needed that exposure for sponsorships and things like that, where as a very large percentage of the West, they didn't really care for that. They just wanted to fish tournament, win some money, hang out with their buds, which is totally fine. Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of us here, the older we get, the more we're like Pete and I, we fish, together in the Fishers Men, and we didn't even fish our championship this year because we were like, dude, it's too hot. We don't want to get out there, but totally understand what you're saying. When you were out West, and we'll talk about moving out into Alabama here in a second, but who are your guys, man? Who are the ones that you were like looking up to, and maybe some mentors and stuff that helped kind of pave the way for you?
Yeah, I mean, I always looked up to Aaron Martins. He was, one of the best that ever came out of California. He just designed and just the amount of methods and techniques that he put forward into the fishing industry was just unbelievable, and how good he was coming from California. And then I looked up to like a guy like Skeet Reese and Brent Ayler, those two. And then, Mark Daniels. I mean, all the guys from the West, Cody Meyer. I mean, we fish against each other now, but I remember when I was, younger, probably 12 or 13 years old, going to a seminar we talk about this to this day, going to Galaxy Marine in Newcastle, because he only lived about an hour from my house. And I was just that kid walking in, and he was doing a seminar. I was just super stoked, to see him and how much success he's had fishing across the country. And, it was cool. Like when the elites would come to Clear Lake or the Delta, I'd always get pumped up, and my dad, he'd haul me down there for the weigh-in. And you see these guys that you always see on TV, and you're like, this is not real. Like, these guys are actually here. You know what I mean? So it's a really cool deal. But yeah, most of the older guys that come from California and the West, that were kind of like my idols, because they, they did it. They made it from California. They got out of there and made it happen.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about you making it now from out
Mhm.
west in California. So it looks like what you probably after college you were out in California for 7 or 8 years or so fishing a circuit out there, and then about a year and a half ago, as you mentioned, you decided to make the moves to Guntersville. You jumped in the opens last year. Looks like your first open events, and you fished all 9 at the EQs and then qualified for the Elite. So a phenomenal year on the EQs to be able to do that against all those hammers out there. But what made you ultimately finally make that decision to leave the West, come East, and then jump into the opens to try to qualify for the Elites?
Yeah, so it kind of stems back to one of the last years I fished the Western Toyotas. I was fortunate to win 2 of them, one on the Delta and one on Lake Havasu. And, I stacked up enough money and qualified to go fish the Tackle Warehouse, the Invitationals, the pro circuit. And, at that moment in my life, I was like, now's the time. Like, you got some cash saved up, won a couple tournaments. I've had some success fishing the national championships, the Toyotas. I made a top 10 in one of them and cut a couple checks. I'm like, I think I can be competitive out there. Like, I got to do it. Like, if you're going to do it, you have some money, you're single, you don't own a home, let's frickin' rip. So I went out and fished the invitationals for, that first year and had, some good success. And I was pumped up. And then year 2, thought I was going to do good, and train wreck. Everything was like, nothing was going right. Breakdowns. I thought I was going to be the man. Not the case. I was like, this is not good. I had one good tournament that year. I think I got 7th at the Potomac. But everything else just fell apart. I just didn't have a good year at all. And at that moment, I wasn't really living in California. I was kind of hopscotching around. I lived in Texas for a little bit. I actually owned this place where I'm at right now in Guntersville. I bought a piece of property my first year fishing the invitationals. I bought a piece of property in Guntersville just because I was basically living on a couch here and I just loved it. I'm like, I need to buy a piece of property, and this is like the place to be. So that year 2 wasn't very good, which was 2 years ago. And with how expensive it was with the invitationals and these national tours and the amount of time off work, it was just one of those deals where I was like, I just don't know if I could just keep doing this and keep pushing money into this. And I told myself, and I also told a lot of people have told me before, like, you got to give yourself, if you think you're good enough to fish on like a pro national tour or qualify for something, you got to give yourself 3 to 4 years. Like, and that's like minimum 3 years. And if it doesn't work out, doesn't work out. It is what it is. So I'm like, well, that was year 2, learned some stuff. And obviously, as you guys know, there's a lot of changes going on with MLF and Bass. And I had some buddies kind of move from Major League Fishing over to Bass. And I'm like, dude, I want to fish Bassmaster. I'm like, this is kind of, I love MLF. That's what's got me here. I just love tournament bass fishing, but I've never fished a Bassmaster tournament besides a couple college tournaments. And I just, being on the Elite Series would be a dream. Going to the Classic, I mean, that's what everybody talks about. So last year, at the beginning of the year, I'm like, screw it. Let's go fish the Opens. It's a little bit more affordable. I'll cut my teeth. I had no expectations to qualify. I'm like, let's jump into them, all 9, and let's have fun. Let's travel around some buddies. I had my buddy Christian Ostrander. He's from California. He traveled with me as well. And Emil Wagner and Buddy Benson, us 4. I'm like, dude, this is going to be a fun year. Low entry. Payback is, not that great, but it'll be good. You'll learn. And if you make it, you make it. If not, whatever. Yeah. So that's what we did. I put that boat in at Okeechobee first term of the year and just started ripping around. And as each tournament went on, and you slowly start climbing the points and getting up there, and it was one of those deals where nothing really seemed like you were going to make it until that last tournament. Because as you guys know, with Opens and just fishing tournaments in general, I mean, anything can happen. And at the Opens level, if you place 100th or worse, which 100th place finish out of 200 boats in an Open really isn't that bad. Like, I mean, it's bad, but not like terrible. You beat half the field. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like you you put up 100th the last tournament, you're out, like you're toast. So
Yep.
I never really told myself like, oh, dude, it's a lock. You're going to do good here, because I just know my tournament history and I know what could happen. And after that last tournament, man, we qualified, and it was probably one of the best days of my life.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you're top 9, dude. Like that's a huge out of like 270 million boats on, you know what I mean? Like,
no, it's crazy.
That is. And let me ask you this though, because you mentioned a couple things in there. You mentioned how expensive it was. Well, I think not a lot of people understand truly how expensive. I mean, you got to understand. Golly, I mean, the economy sucks. But anyways, you were fishing MLF. What was their entry fee per tournament for you?
The pro circuit was like $5,000 a tournament.
Exactly.
So it was like 30. Yeah, it was like $30,000 a year.
So
and I was
$30,000
just like,
a year.
I was just like scraping by, you know. I mean,
well, that's why you were the guy on the couch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I worked. That was couch surfing, and you know, I work and try to. At the time, my first year, I left work. I didn't work at all. I just fished, which was cool. And the second year, I actually worked in between, which is helpful. And I still work with the same company. They're awesome people. I mean, I owe my life to them, but like to be able to afford all that without sponsors. I mean, I have sponsors. I have great sponsors now, even the last couple of years, but even with sponsors, it is unbelievable how expensive it is with Airbnbs, fuel, maintenance on boat and truck, tackle. It's unreal. And if you don't cash checks, it's a long road. And I'm lucky enough. I mean, I can do it because I'm single. I don't have any kids, but like I look back and just think like, I don't know how these guys do it with have kids and family and all this stuff going. You know, now I have a house and mortgage and things like that. So now I'm like, all right, this is kind of wild, but with kids and the rest of that, I'm like, dude, this is crazy.
Now you got to catch them or it's going back to the bank, brother.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Me, I'm like, I just got to take care of myself and survive. I could probably do that, but.
Well, I want to ask this, then I'm going to let Pete ask a question if he has anything too. But so you talked about, you know, you're paying $5,000 in entry fee for the MLF side. You have a really bad season. It seems like nothing's going right. You're having breakdowns. All of this is going down. We've all been there, not at that level. And then you decide to say, you know, screw it. We're gonna send it in the opens. What did you do in between that last MLF tournament and that first BASS Open tournament with all of that crap that happened? How did you mentally get over that? Because that's one of the biggest things that isn't talked about a lot is like, how did you get over all of that emotional stress and stuff of what just happened that previous season?
I mean, a lot of it is a lot of it's just like really taking it back to yourself and putting it into like real expectations and what you're comfortable with and having a good year and having not a good year and really thinking of what's going on, you know, like, you know, I look back going into the opens that those first few tournaments, I had like zero expectations. I wanted to fish how I wanted to fish. I wanted, you know, to have fun and do everything I wanted to do. And that's what I did throughout that entire year. Prior, that second year where I was doing bad, I had a great first year, and I'll kind of tie this into what I'm doing this year. I had such a good first year, you know, traveling around, first year on tour, had a really good year. And I had such high expectations going into year two. I'm like, I'm good. Like, I'm going to catch them. And then everything went downhill because I set those expectations high that I was just going to breeze through this, and it didn't happen. Going into the opens, I said, dude, don't even just fish how you want to fish. Have fun. No expectations. Let's do it. Had a phenomenal year. Now, going into this year, my rookie year of the Elites, I kind of did the same exact thing like I did the year prior. I went in with high expectations. I'm like, dude, I got my boys. We're going to catch them. I got, you know, going from the opens, like that's the hardest thing in the world. These guys have no clue what's going on. I went in those first couple of tournaments and it was boo. And the last handful of tournaments, I kind of shifted back to like, of last year, the beginning, where I'm like, dude, have fun, no expectations, just go do your thing. And that's kind of what's going on now. So tournament fishing is really weird, but you have to take it back to yourself of reality of how you like to fish. You got to have fun, and you got to do you. And that's really when you have your best tournaments.
Yeah. I mean, the mental side of it, it's everything. Yeah, it's everything. But Pete, you look like you were going to say something over in your land. Your face is all red and stuff. I don't know what's going on with that, but we can't hear you. You're muted. We're going to give Pete an opportunity to talk since he's social distancing. All right, we can't hear him right now, so we'll let him work on his technical difficulties. But yeah, we love to get that perspective from people. Like adversity is every person tackles adversity differently. I asked you earlier about mentors and stuff. It's so important, I think, for these young guys to understand how much a mentor and people that you can rely on. And you talked about it, like I got my boys with me, man. Like we're going to catch them. They're with you through the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows. Right. How important is it for you to have those roll dogs with you, that crew, man? Like, can you rely on them to basically be a shoulder? Yeah,
no, it's everything, man. Like, the group of guys I have right now, I travel with Paul Marks, Tucker Smith, and Emil Wagner, and we've gotten really close in the last couple of years. And without them, it's one of those deals where it's so much more fun and exciting, traveling around with them, cutting the crap, all these types of things, and fishing at the highest level. And it would be a bummer, not like traveling by yourself or not having those guys with you. Those are your buddies. Those are what, you go through the highs and lows and chop it up. But no, it is everything, having a good core group around you and that can pick you up when you're down and get you on to the next one. And that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Now, with your group, because we've talked to a lot of elite anglers, and a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them, they hang out, or they all stay with 2 or 3 or 4 other guys. And they all talk about how important that can be. So for your group that you travel with Emil, and I think you said Paul and Tucker, like how much you guys share a lot of information? You guys trying to be, kind of like a team? Obviously, you're not giving all the juice and stuff, but like, how do you all work together to try to, go through the highs and lows of these tournaments out there?
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much share most stuff within each other. I mean, we all want. I mean, I want to see all 3 of them win tournaments. I mean, I don't care what's going on. I want them to do as good as I do. So we share, as much as we can with each other, and try to tackle these big lakes. Like these lakes that we fish are so big, having, not just 1, but 3 other eyes on the place and limiting that much more water just saves you so much more time. So it's very beneficial for all 4 of us to kind of, see what's going on and share info. So, but yeah, we talk a ton.
Yeah. Well, we didn't say this at the beginning of the show. I'm going to let Pete jump in here, but I do. Yeah, okay. We got you, man. I just wanted to say congratulations to Tucker Smith for pulling out that win up north in that smallmouth factory. We got Pete back on here. He worked his technical difficulties out. Pete, jump in. What's up, dude?
Yeah, I unplugged it and plugged back in, typical IT support. So we're good. I want to circle back and just kind of highlight something, that Andrew talked about. And that's like riding the high of qualifying, and you come into it thinking like, I just did the hardest thing in my life.
Yep.
And it just reminds me, like, we're blessed to have talked to quite a few guys who do it for a living and guys that have done it for a long time. So John Cruz is a good friend of mine, and we got to have him on the show, and he talked about, everybody kind of feels that way when they get there because it's so hard to get there, and you don't think about it, but he broke it down like, at your local derby, there's always that one guy or 2 guys that you're like, yeah, well, Jimbo's here, so might as well just give him the money and we'll fish for second place. all 100 dudes at the Elite Series level are that guy.
They are that guy. Every
Yeah.
single one of them. Every single one of them they're all unbelievable anglers, man.
So it's kind of like a reality check, right?
100% it is. You get there and those dudes are gonna smash your face in, man. It's actually unreal. Like they can be your buddy. You know, it was funny. Like before the first tournament at Okeechobee, you're meeting everybody. You're starstruck. Like, man, these guys are cool. They're nice. That next day, when that boat launches, they're looking at you like they want to kill you. You're like, whoa, dude, what happened here?
I was just about to ask you because years ago you talked about going down to Clear Lake and seeing all your idols and heroes and being surreal. And I was going to ask, how was it like that first morning there? What was it? Was it St. John's or this year? St. John's?
Yeah, St. John's.
Yeah.
St. John's, yeah.
Like, how was it that first time blasted off there with now you're in the big show with all the guys?
No, it was I was like tripping out, man. It was having Dave Mercer call your boat number. It was one of those things where I was like, you know, behind everybody, you know, it's just kind of chaos in my eyes because it was my first one. And he calls your boat number and you're like, you still feel like a
fan.
Viewer. Like a fan. You still feel like a fan, and they call you. You're like, oh, I guess I'm going. And then someone's behind you. And you're like, cool. I guess we're going. And then you're running out of the lake. You're like, should I pass him? Am I good to pass him? But
did you have nerves that whole like for some amount of time in that derb, or once you kind of made your run, settled down, put the trolling motor in the water, was it just like, all right, we're back to business as usual? I know what I'm doing here. I'm just gonna go fish.
Yeah, there definitely was some nerves, but once you kind of got in this zone, you were kind of going.
Yeah,
like any other tournament.
Well, I got. Let's look at some funny business that happens out of some of the rookies that we see. Like, and this is obviously amplified through social media and stuff. So, have you done anything yet that you're like, oh crap, I can't believe I forgot to put my kill switch in, or I can't believe I did this because I was literally talking crap about that guy last year for doing that.
Who was it that we talked to that fell on the boat, fell off the boat?
Oh, that was Kyle Patrick fell off his boat. I think that was last year. Fell off his boat.
That was when he got the fruit bat.
I can't remember who else it was. But have you had any of those moments where we just have like those airhead moments and forget?
Not yet this year, fortunately. No, I haven't had any gnarly stuff happen that way, so I'm good. My buddy Emil, he fell in at Hartwell, which was kind of funny. But outside of that, no, I haven't had anything bad happen.
I think so.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think once you get to that level and qualify, you have those kind of like kill switch and all of that is just part of your routine, and you do it without even thinking about it, right?
100%. Yeah,
I think some of those funnier things, like to Trey's point, like going to step on the gunnel when you end up in the water and those kind of things. That's what I'd be most nervous about, or like picking up your trolling motor and the trolling motor cable snaps and. Sometimes it does it twice in one tournament, and then you tell Trey to sit in the seat and don't talk to me anymore. And
100%.
All right, so
we're just all over the place right now, which is fine. But I don't know. I got to ask, since you all were over here earlier this year in our neck of the woods, what'd you think of our rivers over here in North Carolina?
Dude, they're badass. That Pasqua tank is cool, man. I wish I would have done better. I pretty much sucked it up there, but. It's a really cool place, and I hope we go back. I didn't fish as many of the rivers as I wanted to, but that place has got them. I like how big it is, but also it is a little scary going across that sound. It's a cool place, man.
I spent a lot of time over there, and it is really good, and it'll humble you extremely fast. It is it takes a long time to really get dialed in on that place to where you can be consistent. You know, even for our locals, I've been fishing it. I mean, I fish it just about twice a month through the summer every year, and I still have days where I struggle. And I know guys that have been fishing for 10 and 15 years and are just now figuring it out. It's definitely a unique fishery, and to do what what Kyle Welcher did was just unbelievable. But it really showed what it has, and all of those rivers have that. Did you stick to the tank, or did you run like into the Roanoke or the Alligator or anywhere else?
Yeah, so day one, I stayed in the Pasqua tank just because I had a pretty good practice in there, and I found out later on that the pressure of all those guys kind of beating all the main stuff up just destroyed it, and I just couldn't get any big ones. And then the next day, I just pointed on a map. I said I'm running over there, and I ran an hour away. Never even been there in my life, and fished it, and had caught a ton of fish, just no big ones. But that's kind of what I learned in practice, is to not just, keep yourself into one area, is kind of spread out. But the Pasqua tank, that whole sound is a phenomenal place for a big tournament like that. Like, it'd be cool, like if an open went there, spread 250 boats out.
Oh yeah, you'd never see another boat.
Right. I mean, it's awesome. It's a huge playing field. When it was funny when they sent us the boundaries, I was like, it's like 4 states, the boundaries. Like, you could go anywhere. Like, this is insane. But no, it's a really cool place, and I hope we go back. And everybody's just stoked to be, that we were there. I mean, the fans and all the people there. It was really cool.
How's the fishing? Not, I guess. I should say not fishing, but how's like the running around and the distance and all there compared to a place like the Sabine, which you can have massive runs too. Like I think past the tank, and there's way more water and rivers and stuff here, but each has its own challenges. So like what's the big difference in kind of those two river fisheries?
Yeah, the main difference is of how much fishable water is the Pasqua tank versus the Sabine. Like the Sabine, at least when I was there, I've only been there once, but it seemed like it fished really, really small, which I was kind of surprised. Like, looking at on a map, I mean, it's a huge waterway, but it fished really small, unfortunately. But, you had to make kind of a long run and all that. But, the Pasqua tank has way more fishable water. I mean, it seems like in any of those major creeks and arms and stuff, you can catch a big bag. So it definitely has way more fishable water. Even, you may have to run far, but you'll catch them.
Yeah, you'll catch them if you come here in June too. Like, I hope if you guys do make it back to North Carolina and you fish that system, you come back in the June timeframe. Because it's absolutely the time of the year. I mean, you can catch them any time of the year. Don't get me wrong. But you can.
I mean, 8-pounders on frogs.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we just got back from there. We're flipping bugs and catching them on cypress trees. We're catching them on frogs and the pads and stuff like that. But the point
the first
is,
2 weeks of June over there are my favorite time ever to fish that place, because you can literally pick a frog up in the morning and never put it down and mash 35 pounds. Yeah, but I mean, for the consumer, right? For those watching the live shows and stuff like that, like, it is a shallow water smash fest. Like, a lot of times you don't even need to turn any technology on whatsoever, right? So for the consumer, it's definitely, you guys are definitely would put on a really good show. Not that it wasn't a good show, but it was like cold and windy as shit when you guys were here.
Yeah,
and
we had terrible conditions. We had that come in. I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah, so
the good thing is if you come in June, it'll be 100 degrees with 70% humidity and no wind. So
let's talk about that real quick. I mean, you got a couple events left for this rookie season on the Elite Series. What has been your favorite place that you guys have fished this year so far? And it doesn't have to be based on tournament finishes.
Killer, doesn't it? I mean,
I mean, 10 killer was good for sure, but Fork is always a staple. I love going to Fork because I used to live there. I lived there for like 6-7 months in kind of my transition, so it's kind of special to me. So that was a really cool tournament. But honestly, I'm not saying this just because you guys live over there and fish it, but the Pasqua tank, even though I sucked there, I mean, it was a badass fishery. I mean, it was cool. I like that type of fishing. Growing up on the Delta with tides, fishing shallow, it suits my style, even though I didn't do good. But it's just the strategy behind that place was a lot, better than most of the lakes that we've been to. Even like a Fork, and a Hartwell. Yeah. Those just set up as a lake, kind of textbook type stuff. But a Pasqua tank with the long runs, short runs, tides, weather conditions. I mean, there's so many factors at play, and I like being able to deal with all that, and that's kind of what makes a fisherman. And the guys that won, or the guy that won or can win on a place like that deserves it.
Absolutely, yeah. It'll humble you quickly, but it definitely you're absolutely deserving when you win down in that system. That being said, I know this is just your first year on the Elites, but you're a seasoned angler. Where do you never want to go again?
The Sabine would probably be one of them.
100%. That is Trey's favorite place.
It is. It's honestly like, it's not bad. Like, I really don't mind it, but it's just a sketchy place, man, with the amount of barges and stuff to hit. And like, you're running out in that Sabine Lake and you're like, there should not be a bass boat right here at all.
It's my favorite. It was one of my favorites outside of the Pesca Tank now that y'all came here. But I just like, you talked about strategy. You talk about breaking a huge system down using you and your 3 roommates, right? Sabine is there's not a bass over like a pound there, I don't think. No, I'm just kidding. There are some, but that place changes every single year. You think you got a spot on the Sabine, and it's going to change because it's going to get wiped out with a hurricane, right? Outside of the dink fest that it is, strategy is always different every single time the Elites go there. You're not just going to expect Jason Christie to win there again, right? And that's what I think is so cool about it, is just the way that you guys have to break that system down. And unfortunately this year, like you said, I heard it was like fishing very small. So
fish pretty small, but
I don't want to fish there. Like, don't get it twisted. I don't want to fish there. I want to watch you guys suck it up there as a viewer and stuff. So,
and honestly, the viewership on that one is huge. Like, I know a bunch of buddies back at home, they've never even seen or been in Texas at all, but they're like, dude, that's my favorite one. It's just cool to watch and see how you guys break it down,
Yeah, for sure. So you got 2 left for the season?
Yep.
So because I want to ask you this, then I want to go into 10 killer if you guys don't mind. So what do you got? What do you got next?
We go to Lake St. Clair in Michigan, and then Mississippi River right after that.
Have you been to either of those bodies of water before? You've been to Mississippi River.
Yeah, we went to both of them last year for the Open. So
okay, what are you looking forward to the most with St. Clair?
Catching big brown ones, man. I love fishing for smallies. That place is just a fish factory. It's a cool place. It's not about catching fish. It's all about catching those 4+ pounders. So it's gonna be a really cool tournament. And then same with the Mississippi River. I love going there. I've been there a few times, and like you were saying, that place changes year to year. You can catch them in one area one year, and it's a fully different water level and current. So you kind of got to fish on the seat of your pants. So it'll be a really cool, last 2 tournaments of the year for us for sure. Yeah.
Well, who won it last year? Didn't Easton win lacrosse last year in the Opens?
No, it was Cody Stahl.
Cody Stahl. That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So you guys are going to be all the rookies this year are going to be something to be reckoned with up in Mississippi, man. Like, it's going to go down. That's going to be a really good. Both of them are going to be good tournaments. So, speaking of tournaments, as we get close to our hour mark here, let's talk about it coming down to ounces.
Ounce.
An ounce.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Lake 10 Killer. Walk us through practicing the derb, dude.
Yeah, practice, you look, I'd never been there before. None of my roommates have. And you just pull out a map of that place, and it's deep, clear water, smallmouth, largemouth, spotted bass. First part of June, you're like, this is going to be an offshore scope fest, brush piles, ledges, all that type of stuff. Like, this is going to be a cool tournament. And launched that boat the first day of practice, and that was my whole intentions, to go out deep. And I'm lucky enough to fish, travel with 3 of the best at fishing offshore. So I'm like, let's do it. Like, this is gonna be cool. Break it down. It's a small lake. We'll do laps around it. And that my first 2 days of practice, that's all I did was fish offshore, and had a pretty decent practice. Caught a bunch out of brush, caught some out deep, caught some roaming. Did that whole deal. But as each day or each basically hour went by, you run around that lake and you're like, why am I seeing the same guys on the same stuff or different guys on the same stuff? You're like just making the lap around like the bottom half of the lake. And you're like, dude, this is not good. Fish started getting a little smarter. And there just wasn't that many spots to rotate. So, and you could catch some nice fish, 2 to 3 pounders, and that 4 pounder was going to be a kicker. So you're like, man, I gotta figure something out here, to get a bigger bite or do something a little different. And I noticed like throughout those 2 days of how much the water was going down and then potentially come back up with the forecast and rain. So that last day of practice, I'm like, I'm going to go up shallow. I'm going to go up north. There was a little shad spawn going on some docks. I'm like, I'm going to go fish up shallow, see what's going on. So I cruise up. I start on a marina, that one I fished in the tournament, and catch a few fish, caught a decent one. I'm like, that's pretty cool. That might be a good place to start on if I need to. And then pull out the flipping stick. I'm like, let's go flip some bushes. You know what I mean? And it's kind of weird because I feel like I'm pretty good offshore. Like I'm pretty good with my live scope. I know what's going on with it. And you pick up that flipping stick, which I'm very comfortable with, being from, fishing the Delta and Clear Lake. But you pick it up and you're like, you start flipping and you're like, I'm fishing against Christie, Hackney, all these guys that just flip exclusively. And I'm like, I'm just going to go down the expect to beat them doing this, So I start, do I have you guys?
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Oh, okay. So I start going on the bank and, I find a couple stretches, water's going down. So I kind of see what's going on. I catch a couple fish and then I catch one almost 4. And I'm like, dude, that was pretty sick. Go down the same stretch, catch another like 2.5. And I'm like, all right, this is actually really cool. And then I go to another spot. I'm like, I'm going to flip a little bit more. And then if, in my head, I'm like, if I catch another one over 2.5, I'm going to put a keeper on. So like a screw lock, to shake them off. Go down another stretch, and I catch like a 3 1/4. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, this is actually kind of a deal here. You know what I mean? Put a screw lock on, and then I just start running different banks, shaking them off. I'm like, dude, I probably got like 20, 30 bites just flipping. Like, this is crazy. You can see some guys weaving in and out and kind of going down and doing their thing. So I'm like, well, cool. I have that in the back of my pocket. So have an off day, gearing up, and I found 2 schools in practice out deep, and I'm like, I'm going to start on those day one of the tournament and see what happens, and then just go from there. So launch that boat day one of the tournament. I started on my first school. You can kind of see them down there, just kind of spread out. Catch a 1 pounder, and I'm like, right on, not a good spot. Go to my next one. And they weren't even there. Like not even close to being there. So I'm like, all right, well, that didn't work out. Go to another like semi-deep spot, cruising around looking, and I'm like, I got to figure something out here. Because like an off day I'm like never a fan of an off day. Like it's nice to sleep in and gear up, but at the same time, there's so much, especially that tournament, there's so much that changed with the water fluctuation. It just –
Yeah. What was the weather like on the off day? Did you guys get a lot of rain?
The off day – we did get a pretty good amount of rain, and the water was, I believe, coming back up. It was either going down or coming back up. I can't remember. No, it was going back down, but we did have some rain, so there was more water coming in. So I'm like, screw it. It's still early. I'm gonna run to that marina. Go to that marina. I wasn't far. I'm gonna see if I can catch a few fish and go in there, catch a couple small ones, and then I catch a 4 1/4, and I'm like, all right, this is cool. And I fill my limit out and I had like, 11 pounds, 12 pounds. I'm like, dude, this is cool. I got 12 pounds, fired up. And I was close to some of the stuff I was fishing, like flipping. I'm like, well, let's go flip. So I basically went from deep to shallow in like a matter of an hour and go to my first stretch, fishing, catch a 3, catch another one. And then I'm like, this is the deal. Keep running some more stretches. And then I basically, by like 11 o'clock, I had like 17.5. And there was like a decision I had to make. I'm like, it was one of those deals where I had 17 I knew I had 17. at 11 or whatever it was. But it was like you don't know, since it's a brand new lake, you don't really know like what weights are going to be like. And all these guys kind of sandbag. So it's like you don't really know what's going to happen. Like, within your roommates, but you don't really know what's really going to happen. And in my head, I'm like, if I'm flipping them like this, there's going to be guys that are they're going to have like 20. Like, this is going to be insane. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, I got to like save this stuff, and I'm going to go run back down the lake and fish deep just to eliminate it for the next day, like just to get it out of my head. So I freaking buzzed all the way back down there, started fishing deep, and I couldn't really catch them that great. I caught some fish, but nothing to upgrade. Get back to Wayne, and I'm pumped. I'm like, cool. And then after day one, I'm leading. I'm like, whoa, what just happened? Like, this is like, did not expect that. And then throughout the tournament, after that day one of really eliminating a lot of water, I had like 30-something rods on the deck from deep to shallow. I mean, it was crazy. I was trying to do everything to eliminate as much water as I could. And after day one, put up 3 or 4 flipping sticks, a couple chatters, swim jigs, and just went to work and rotated banks. And as each day went on, I was learning what was going on within the lake and water fluctuation and things like that. So, and that's really what I did.
And how did that conversation go with your roommates after? Because you were leading after day 2, weren't you as well?
Yeah.
And then, I think
day 3.
And day 3, you led 3 days in a row, didn't you?
Yep.
So how did those conversations go with your roommates? Because you guys all work together. Were you like, hey, go do this? Or were you like, stay off my juice? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. It was one of those deals. I knew what I was doing. I tell them everything, it's, I'm like, this is what I'm doing. And they're like, dude, we're not going up there. Like, we found our stuff, same type of deal, that everyone's really, coerced with what's going on, and everyone's kind of one unit. And I even told, a couple, I'm like, if you need a fish, just rip up here, like, come on. But they were doing their own thing. And that's kind of what we do. And it was really cool, to see, to have your roommates have your back and know what's going on.
To put it into perspective, and you made that statement earlier about like you're fishing against guys like Hackney Christie, John Cox, and I know I'm leaving a bunch out here, but some of the best shallow water anglers in the world.
Yeah. And Wes Logan, the guy that won,
Wes Logan. But to put this into perspective, 10 Killer is like a 12,000 acre lake, right?
Pretty small. Yeah.
It's pretty small. So do you believe that the stretches of bank that you found that you were flipping those bushes and stuff like that, did no one else find that?
No, there was definitely some guys that 100% fishing them. Like, I running by them, people fishing them, and I'd go back to them either that day or the next day. But the one thing that, I take a little credit for being from the deltas with the water fluctuation going up and down, just straight off the bushes. In my head, it was like a tide and how it positioned fish. And there were certain banks that were better basically on a outgoing tide with a falling water. And then there was banks that were better on an incoming tide or water coming up. And it's all about fish position and how they set up for them to bite. So if you were on the wrong stretch and the wrong tide per se, you may catch a fish, but it's not going to be that type of fish. If you fish the Cal Delta back at home, punching and frogging, it's kind of like what we do mostly, and how you win big tournaments out there. It's you can go down a stretch of bank, and a lot of places, they have fish and you can catch them. But you can go down on the wrong tide and catch 2-pounders and 3-pounders and have fun. But if you go there on the right tide at the right time, that's when you catch the 7 to 10-pounders. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of like what I had in mind. And it could have been like a mind thing where I just like, oh, that's what it's going to be. And that's what it's like. And I'm going to catch that fish. Or I just pulled up at the right time and the water was right and it just happened, So
yeah, we don't
the way I looked at it in my eyes.
No, I mean, we all do that. We all try to justify like why the fish are there, and exactly. And this is. But what was your? But that's all we can do because we're fishing against nature. What was your main bait that was really putting all the fish in the boat for you up shallow?
So that shad spawn deal, I was throwing it was the first gen. It's a new chatterbait. It's pretty sick. It's a copperhead. It's the mini copperhead. It's kind of hard to explain if I don't have one with me right now, but it's a chatterbait, but it has 2 copper BBs on the head, and when that chatter rotates, it hits the side of the head, and it makes a loud noise. I was throwing a white mini copperhead, skipping around those docks, and then with that, I was pairing it with on some of the boat slips that were like really tight, like a chatter kind of hit and bounce around, but on the really tight ones, I'd go to like a Beast Coast swim jig, a 38-ounce Gorilla swim jig. And then just the meat and potato flipping stick. I was throwing a 1/2-ounce tungsten weight with a Strike King Rage Bug and just pitching that thing around.
I mean, dude, simple as it gets. I love it, dude. I love it. And, you know, and I give you a lot of credit too, because one of the things that I've seen happen to me personally, when I know they're offshore, it is super hard for me to go shallow. Right. It is super hard for me to go shallow unless I know that the water is rising and stuff like that. Pete's opposite. Pete will beat the bank to death or beat the shallow water cover to death. And you know, if that's fishing for 5 bites, it's fishing for 5 bites. I'm not comfortable fishing for 5 bites. Like I want like 20, you know what I mean? To make me settle down, but I give you a lot of credit for that. So day 3, was there a point in there where you're like, I got this thing won, it's in the bag?
No, there was never that. Even after day 3, I had that, you know, lead and everything. There was never that, only because, you know, I knew the area I was fishing was getting a lot of pressure and there were so many things changing. And, you know, the guys in the top 10, you know, they're so good fishing shallow and stuff. I never had anything in my mind like, oh, this is a wrap. And even as each day went on, even after day 1, 2, and 3, like going into those, you know, after day 1, I was like, I flipped those fish. I ran to those stretches, but I was fishing so comfortably as far as like just running into like new water and kind of seeing what was going on, to where it could have gone the other way, where I could have had 6 pounds. You know what I mean? I could have ran in, you know, on those stretches and caught 1-pounders, and it would have sucked. But luckily it didn't. So it was just one of those things where I didn't have like a group of fish or just one magical hole. It was just like kind of run, you know, and see what looked good and go fish it. Yeah.
Well, day 3, moving into day 4, how did you feel at blast off? Like, were you like, because you're blasting off in first place, right? Like first position.
Yeah, no, it was
wild, a long day.
Yeah, no, it was definitely wild. I was a little nervous. And, you know, I was pretty jacked up that day. So it was cool, man. The whole experience, you know, I had a camera 3 days in a row with Jake. He's, you know, super, super good dude. Got a lot of great exposure, met a lot of cool people at that event. But it was honestly, you know, one of the best weeks of fishing I've had in a tournament. It was a really cool experience.
No, that's good, man. I hope a lot of the veteran anglers, you know, we talked about it last year when this whole, you know, forward-facing debacle and stuff was going down. Like, you know, I think rookies, at least on the national level tours, are, you know, catching a lot of hate. And, you know, I hope that, you know, these guys garner some. I know they do garner some respect for you guys out there grinding it just like they are. Putting a flipping, huh?
We got to address this whole thing. Like, you know, just the weigh-in, like raw emotion. How was that feeling, like being that close? And,
it was wild, man. It's, you know, I'll never forget being on that stage that final day, you know, bringing my bag up there. I could see the scale, and as soon as it hit what it hit, I mean, everything just went out of me. I'm like, dude, just 1 more ounce, man. I hugged left. I'm like, good. And I got in the backstage, and all my buddies were back there, and I'm just like, dude, we're just
yeah.
Bro. Now, but, and
you know, because one of those things, it's, you know, I've fished enough tournaments before, and I've won a pretty decent amount, and to win a bass tournament, especially 4 days in a row, everything has to go right. Everything has to be in your favor. And there was a lot of things that were in my favor. I mean, I had a lot of really lucky bites, and I had a lot of things go right. But, losing that many big ones during the week, I lost a big one day one. I had a dead fish on day two. And making those decisions, it's like, that's what makes you a better person and a better fisherman. So, I don't regret anything I did that week. And for Wes to pull it off, I congratulate him. He's super good dude. And when it's your time, I truly believe it's your time and it's going to happen.
There it is.
100%.
It's your time. It's your time.
And it's going to come. It's going to come for you too. Now you also, I think, finished. I think you were runner up too at an open event last year, right? Am I?
Yep. Yeah.
Was that a super close one too? I don't remember.
No, it was like Easton won. It was at Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's kind of got my number. It was at Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma, and I think I lost by like 1.5 pounds or so.
So I've got to ask you then, like, which one is what is kind of the harder one to take coming in second? And I only ask that because obviously 10 Killers, a blue trophy, a Bassmaster Elite, much bigger payout, but the Open, that would have been an instant berth in the Classic.
Man, honestly, it'd probably be 10 Killer. I mean, that blue trophy's what everybody wants. It's something I really want before I either get kicked off or quit, or not quit, but kicked off or retire or whatever. I mean, a blue trophy is one of those things I want bad.
You don't want to take anything away from winning an Open. It's beating 200.
Oh, totally. An Open's one of the hardest.
Beating those 100 guys that are at the elite level is in my opinion the equivalent, because those are the 100 best out of those 200. In theory, there's some that have been there for a while and may not be as sharp on some things, but to win that blue trophy, I think is everybody that's fishing the organization. That and obviously that bronze world champion Bassmaster Classic trophy.
Yep, 100%.
What's harder? What's harder in your opinion? Is it harder to do better in an Open, or is it harder to do better on the Elite Series?
So last year I would have said an Open 100%, but Elite Series by far is way harder.
Yeah.
I mean, to put together 4 days against these guys on these lakes is unreal, man. It's you basically have to think about it like on your home lake. To win a single day tournament, you have that weight, right? Like you're like, damn, that guy crushed him. You have to have that weight on a new body of water that you've never been to. You have to be that local guy for 4 days in a row.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of these guys haven't been to fisheries and dominate, so it's a really tough task.
Yeah, man. I mean, you get that. You see a lot of the keyboard warriors and stuff like that. Like, hey, bring them to my lake, I'll beat them. And it's like, yeah, you should beat them. You spend 7 days on a lake and you're dropping 29, 30 pounds, dude. Imagine going to Gunnersville and breaking Gunnersville down over a 6-7 day period, man. Like, that's a big body of water. There's big bass in there, but it's hard to do. And I wanted to ask you this question. Are there certain tournaments that you treat each day as an individual tournament, and then certain tournaments, obviously like 10 Killer, where you have to manage fish a little bit better?
There's some that you kind of want to, catch as many as you can in the area, knowing that it's going to be depleted due to other boat pressure. But with only 100 guys and how big these lakes are, you can kind of get away from people most of the time.
Yeah.
So you can save fish and save areas and then kind of run new stuff. But most of the guys that win on the Elite Series, it's rare nowadays just to find one hole. Like, it really is. Like the Kyle Welcher thing, that wasn't just a hole, that was an area. But
right.
The guys that win most of the time, they develop the pattern and develop the win as the week goes on. And that's
you're not going to do the old Rick Clun where you fish a 50-yard stretch of grass or riprap all for 4 days and absolutely crush them.
Yeah, it's nowadays it's kind of rare because everybody kind of knows, with the mapping systems and live scope, you kind of know what's going on pretty quick in 3 days of practice.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're not finding anything that 10 other guys haven't found, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
once you get to that level, you know how to break down a lake, you know how to practice, you know how to use your imaging and all the tools at your disposal to find those areas. So
the only place that I will say that I thought was going to be like that was the Pasquotank or the Sound. Like in my mind, I'm like, dude, someone's like a John Cox is going to find a hole in every cast 5-pounders or something because how big it is. You just never know.
It's not. It's fish is way more like Florida, where this 50-yard stretch of pads you catch 30 pounds of today, and it might be 7 miles away where that stretch is the next day.
Exactly.
And they don't typically hold in this time of year. Now in the fall, you can go out there and schwack them in the creek mouths and stuff like stacked up like that.
Yeah.
But it really is a lot like Florida and that system as you get into this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
What are we going to ask, Ben?
No, I was just going to say, the only time that you're really going to see someone find like a special area or something is when you do have big bodies of water like that, and then you have to have the weather cooperate. So, I mean, that was always the problem at Pasquotank, because if the weather was good and you could have actually ran the Sound comfortably and all, and then without that cold front, I guarantee you other guys would have rolled up on some spots and would have had some backs.
Because it just took too long to get to places, man. Like you're running across that thing and it takes you an hour just to get across it. You're like, what's going on? Your fishing time is just smoked.
You're also never going to get 4 days in a row in that system where you can make those long runs.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
You're always going to have a day over there where it blows or does something crazy. And, man, that place gets nasty.
Yeah. I got 2 more questions for you. I'll turn it over to these gentlemen. The first one is what is something that you dialed in California that you've brought to this part of the country that has been completely invaluable for your fishing career so far? It doesn't even have to be a technique. It could be anything.
Honestly, like being like really versatile is kind of like my shtick in a sense. Like, growing up, like I said, on Clear Lake, that place is very, very special in the matter of you can catch them deep, all the way to 30 feet on a giant 10XD, big jig, big worm, all the way to like a 4-pound test on a drop shot and catching 9-pounders. Like, it's just unreal. Or, you go into the north end of the lake on the shallower bowl side where it's just flooded with big grass mats, offshore, tulies, things like that. And you whip out, 65-pound braid and a 2-ounce punch weight and offshore frogging. And I did that for years, going up there with my dad and all my buddies and stuff. And we'd just go there every weekend and dial that place in. And you can really, really be versatile. And then, not just Clear Lake, but, going to Lake Oroville and Lake Shasta with spotted bass, deep clear water. And then also the Delta, that area that I'm from is just the perfect hub to be, tidal river fisheries with the Delta, punching grass, chatterbaiting, things like that. And then, Clear Lake, Oroville, Shasta. So it's not just like one thing that I feel like I'm good at. I take pride in like really trying to master as many things as I can. And sometimes it hurts, you kind of you get on a new body of water and want to do everything. And sometimes it hurts you. So, but I am very fortunate to grow up out there and be able to compete. But I will say, like, one thing that's kind of funny from, being in California is it's kind of a trend with a lot of guys like a Mark Daniels, Brent Ayler, Skeet Reese, Aaron Martin's a little bit, but like most guys from California that do decent, like they just like winding a chatterbait or a crankbait. And a lot of the tournaments that before this one I've had success is like chatterbait and grass and cranking and things like that. And those types of dudes are the same exact way, But it is like power fishing is very big out there.
Yeah, I can't stand a chatterbait. Everybody knows that. But my last question for you, coming from California to being a guy on the couch to fishing the Elite Series, now you got a mortgage and all those fun things where the bank owns. What is your best piece of advice you can give one of these young guys or gals that's trying to get into the game?
My best piece of advice is be on the water, man. Learning. Obviously, everyone preaches the social media, the marketing, which is huge, but learning how to fish and adapt and being on that water is by far the best thing you can do. I try to be on the water as much as I can, and It has helped me tremendously fishing new bodies of water and putting your time in. And that is one thing that no one can take away from you. Someone may be able to make a post better than you, which is great, but you know what, that you can hire somebody after you start winning tournaments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So being on that body of water and putting the time in is by far the best piece of advice I give anybody is putting the time in.
Absolutely, man.
Y'all listen to that, because I know the rookies over the last couple of years have gotten a lot of, viewer hate for being video game fishermen, which you're not, but we are seeing it at a local level where you have younger guys that do not know how to do anything but that.
Yeah.
And you see it in the tournaments. And so listen to Andrew, kids, like learn how to fish without that box, without
versatility,
without your electronics. You've got to be able to do
100%. You got to be able to do.
Yeah. You get into a tournament where the wind's blowing and you can't do what you are comfortable doing. You have electronic failures. You're SOL. You're just out there wasting
100%.
time. So
yeah,
I think
my 3 roommates are, and even I was before this last tournament, they're proclaimed, scopers, but I've been on the boat with Tucker Smith, him and I went and frogged and swim jigged at a lake, and he taught me some stuff I never even knew about swimming a jig. He's from the Coosa River. That's where some of the best swim jiggers are around,
Yeah.
So these guys know how to fish, and putting the time in on the water on your home lake is obviously one thing, but, exploring new lakes, shallow water, tidal, grass, getting a mixture of it all is by far the best thing you can do to yourself.
Yeah. You know where I'm going to put a chatterbait in my hands when I come down to Gunnersville and I rip it through that daggum eelgrass that y'all got down there.
Yeah. Come
That's
on
what
now.
I'm going to do. I'm going to put him in a boat with that. Ben, Pete, you just asked something. Ben, you got anything for Andrew right now?
No, I've actually asked my question as we've been going along this time.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew, full disclosure, I run my mouth more than these guys do. They all know it.
He usually asks every question that I have.
You know what?
Ben actually took a few of mine tonight. So it's
yeah, good. I'm just that good. You know what I'm saying? What's up, dude? Man, I'm really excited that you joined us, on the show, man. We want to have you back too, because we want to get into more specific stuff. And one of the things that I know a lot of the viewers are curious about is like that first year recap, man. Like really, what are some of the biggest, and we're not going to ask you now, but think about these things, like some of the biggest lessons learned, some of the things that you just didn't even think about, and granted, tournament fishing is tournament fishing, but each organization is so different when the way that they run logistics and all these things. Right. And, and then you got to plan for potential roommate changes over years and stuff like that. That's going to be a thing. Hopefully every single one of you guys requalifies, but things happen and stuff. So a lot of dynamic and moving pieces in the industry that we're all a part of, and especially you're a part of. So we appreciate you coming on here and sharing your story and telling the audience your perspective on things. So
yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and it's been a blast, and hopefully you guys have me on again, man.
Absolutely. Really cool. So Andrew, real quick before we shut her down, where can everybody go find you, and also who are all the people that make this possible for you?
Yeah, so Instagram and Facebook are kind of my forte. I don't really have a huge YouTube channel or anything yet, but Instagram handle is Loberg Fishing, and then Facebook, Andrew Loberg Fishing on there. So you go check it out. I try to post as much as I can throughout the, all the travels and fishing I do. But yeah, I couldn't do any of this without, my title sponsor, Southern Prairie Outfitters. They do duck and goose hunts out of Arkansas and Canada. They're awesome people. Lucky Craft is one of my main title sponsors as well. They make awesome hard baits. Beast Coast Fishing, some of the best tungsten lead jigs out there in the game. P-Line, First Gen Lures, Coast Sunglasses, Phoenix Mercury, all those guys just make it possible. So I couldn't do it without them. And, hopefully these last 2 tournaments are a success and move on to the next year.
Absolutely, man. Well, folks, you heard Andrew talk about where you can find him at and all those great partnerships that he has. We talk about it all the time on this show. We open it up with all the great partners that we have, and we end this show just like this. And Andrew, you're definitely part of this culture. that helps us continue building a culture of anglers, helping anglers one cast at a time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Yeah. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.